Maverick News, the antivirus program for your mind. And now, the Freedom Reporters.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rick Walker with Maverick News, and I'm here with my lovely, beautiful, talented, handsome, charming co-host,
Brendan Kennedy, the co-host for Maverick News. Good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing?
So, lots of stuff on tap tonight, and I'm very excited to get back and talk a little bit more about this whole Chrystia Freeland, Deputy Prime Minister for Canada, Nazi issue. It seems like she likes to hang around with Nazis, apparently. Likes to support them, stand in unity with them.
Be related to them.
So, we can't hold relation by birth against anybody necessarily, but when you stand with a banner that represents a Nazi organization, like a real Nazi organization, it opens the door to some questions. So we're going to get into that. We also will talk just a little bit about this Pfizer document dump, which was ordered by the courts. And what we're looking at is about 10,000 pages of information from their vaccine study. So we'll take a quick look at that tonight. I've tried to get through some of it, but we have 10,000 pages to go through. And we're obviously not going to do all of that tonight. And we need to be very careful about what we say and how we approach this topic because, as you know, we live in a very censored and sensitive era. So I guess we'll be choosing our words extremely carefully as we navigate through that issue tonight. And we're going to talk truckers and freedom a little bit too.
Yes, we definitely need more freedom, I think, and more of that to talk about. I mean, we do have some updates too in regards to Tamara Litch, one of the main convoy organizers, and kind of one of Rick Walker's predictions have come true, so to speak. So more on that throughout the show. Where do you want to start tonight, sir?
Well, I had footage, a live stream set up with this People's Convoy in the U.S., of course, making its way across the United States, heading to Washington, D.C., but then the feed cut off. It's a live feed, and we lost our feed just before we went to air here. So I'm trying to reestablish. So I might have to just shift gears here for a little bit. Perhaps what we should do is just briefly touch on what's going on in Ukraine, and then we can shift gears and go back to the truckers, because March 5th, which is only a few days away, is just around the corner, and that's when the truckers will start to roll into Washington, D.C., and I know that we have people planning some big things in Canada as well, in Ottawa and in locations across the country. Yeah, so the notion that, the cops went in, busted heads, and shut this whole thing down, and that the government has somehow squashed the freedom movement, nothing could be further from the truth. We're seeing resilience and resolve across the country on the freedom front.
Both countries on the freedom front.
Yes.
The protests in Canada seem to have taken a life of its own, where people have brought all the protests to their hometowns and have announced disgruntledness for all the mandates that have been put in place. One of the things that I kind of found very shocking is that, yes, although Ontario, Canada may be dropping things like the vaccine passport, and I've been a witness to that, the the mandates are still there. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It really bears worth repeating. None of this is over until every workplace drops their mandates. The city of Toronto, for example, is reporting that they are going to keep their vaccine mandates in place for all employees. So this stuff isn't going away. It's still there. Just because the government is pulling back on it a little bit, it doesn't mean anything, because they could bring it back whenever they feel it's necessary.
One step forward, two steps back. And if you want to go to the Toronto Zoo, they're still going to ask for a vaccine passport. So, they got to protect those animals from your COVID, I guess. Strange times. And what we're looking at here is a live stream from Ukraine tonight. And it looks like it's fairly quiet. Now, on the Ukraine front, we're seeing a lot of, how can I put this? Propaganda. It's just that simple. A lot of propaganda. And, I think I've made my position on this whole Ukrainian issue pretty clear. I'm not believing anything I'm seeing from our media. Now they're banning RT News, Russian television in Canada. And I've been watching some of the RT feeds online and just weighing all the information. And I'll just say, like, we see Canadians, individuals, making a choice to drop what they're doing, put their lives on hold, and now head over to Ukraine to fight alongside other civilians in Ukraine. And they're basing their decision on the information they're being fed through the mainstream media largely. And I'm just telling you, man, you should be careful what you believe, and especially if you're going to go put your life on the line. That's my advice to anybody that's thinking of going over there to put themselves in harm's way and stand up to the Russian government. The footage I've been watching today on RT does not match in any way what we have been seeing through the media here. So there are two very distinct and contrasting narratives playing out. That is for sure.
Well, of course, I mean, the Russians aren't going to be like, oh no, we are losing. The sanctions are hurting us. Stop it, Americans. You are hurting us. Stop it.
Well, actually, Brendan, I don't know if you've been seeing many of the feeds, but what I've been seeing is, up close footage of actual airstrikes. I've been seeing up close footage of the civilian areas where people's homes have been bombed. They're not shying away from showing that. Over here, they're trying to build sympathy for the Ukrainian government by showing attacks on civilian areas and making reference to them. But every time I turn around, we're seeing fake footage. We're seeing completely fake stories in the Western media. The whole Snake Island attack at the Snake Island port, yes, where they said that the people, the Ukrainians who were manning that station, and told the Russian ship to go F itself and told them to go F off. And then they were apparently killed. None of that was true. None of it was true. They actually surrendered and were taken into custody, and they're still alive. But they tried to turn them into martyrs, and they never were killed. So the whole story was bunk. Then we saw, what else have we seen?
The Ghost of Kiev, the fighter pilot Ace, and footage surrounding that ended up being entirely false.
Yep, entirely. Then we saw this. Miss Ukraine. Yeah, she's a supermodel turned super soldier. fighting like so many of the other strong women in Ukraine, standing up to those Russians with an airsoft rifle. But the people producing this stuff are so freaking stupid that they don't know the difference between an airsoft rifle and an actual weapon that would be used by the military. This is ridiculous, but people buy into this stuff.
Yeah,
this is pure propaganda.
And the other piece of pure propaganda that is worthy of talking about, especially because we've highlighted the footage on this show a number of times, was there was an armored track vehicle. It's like a missile deployer or something like that. And we called it a tank one time, but somebody made fun of us. So neither here nor there. It showed an armored track vehicle. It appears to be purposefully running over a civilian automobile, and the man inside the car that got run over miraculously lived. But it turns out that was not the Russians either, and that was a Ukrainian military vehicle had run over a civilian vehicle. So totally fake news in that regards on that front too. We are just being bombarded. Like, I would not trust a lick of what the mainstream media has put out there in regards to any of what's going on with Ukraine. This is just so surreal to live through, especially after the events in Ottawa, Canada, where we had the trucking convoy, and we'd seen we've seen the legacy media's hand and how they play these games entirely, and they don't have any new tricks. It doesn't look like.
Well, they're selling this war. They're promoting this war. That's what the Western media is doing. They're cheerleading it, and a lot of people are dying as a result. Yes. And this is a statement from the Russian embassy today. Well, actually, it was from yesterday, but it's being made public now. And I'm going to read this to you. And this really does mesh with what Vladimir Putin had to say. And we're going to get into this more because we want to talk more about Chrystia Freeland, Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, and the way she's associating herself with actual, real Nazis, not the fake, contrived, fabricated Nazis that the Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland have been concocting out of truckers. Real Nazis. And anyway, this is the statement from the embassy. It says, Russia continues its special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. The Russian army does not occupy Ukrainian territory and takes all measures to preserve the lives and safety of civilians. The strikes are targeting military facilities only, being carried out exclusively with high-precision weapons. We're going to come back to this. We'll read the full statement later in the broadcast. But this actually reinforces what I've been saying since the beginning of the Russian invasion, if you will, of Ukraine. And that is that I said, I don't think Vladimir Putin even really wanted to go in there. I think that the narrative being spun by the media here, suggesting that he's just a crazy dictator who is out to grab land, grab more territory, and reestablish the old Soviet Union. It's not really quite true. They're twisting facts and twisting information. I don't think he wanted to go in. He did it because you have a pro-Western, propped up government in Ukraine that was installed by the West in Volodymyr Zelensky. And they have been threatening or asking and applying to become part of NATO, which would then put weapons right on Russia's doorstep. And Putin warned them repeatedly over 8+ years not to cross that line. And now we're here, and this is where we're at. But we'll get into why we're seeing on what's happening on the ground there, why we're seeing it play out this way, because the way it's being spun in Western media, people think that this is some sort of like a regular sort of invasion where the Russians are, the objective would be to go in a blitzkrieg type style assault, take over the country, and then occupy it, so that you would see Vladimir Putin walking in there Hitler style and sitting behind Volodymyr Zelensky's desk and putting his feet up after he took over the guy's office, and then having his people, his soldiers, occupy the country and take over that way. And I don't think that's what the objective here is at all. And I'm going to lay out, I think, what is really going on there for you, and we'll do that in just a bit. Let me see if I can find that feed again from the People's Convoy.
Okay, beautiful.
What do you have? Anything there, Brendan? Where we try to reestablish it?
What do we want to do? We want to stay on the same gears, or do you want to switch it out to something a little different? Or I hear I have something that's worthy of talking about Ukraine-wise. So we've talked about already on the show and discussed Sean Penn coming out of Hollywood to go to Ukraine to make a documentary during the Russian invasion. He has abandoned his car and is walking miles to the Polish border to escape the Russian invasion, as reported by the Daily Wire today.
I saw that yesterday. Is he still walking, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, he says basically saying he's still walking. He's met with President Vladimir Zelensky. He took to Twitter to say, already brutal mistakes of lives taken and hearts broken. So he talks about what's been going on with the Ukrainian people. But let me just try and see if I can figure out where he's actually at right now. Yeah, it's basically he's still walking, according to what I see here, and he is reporting that on the way to the Polish border, it is flooded with civilian vehicles and people trying to leave, and that sort of thing. Very kind of interested in how cocky he went into it and how quickly he ran out of it.
He's trying to get out of the country. That's the point, I guess you're making, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's a brave guy.
He definitely deserves that title, in the very least, very brave.
And do you think that whatever he produces in terms of a documentary will be balanced and fair, or will it be biased?
Oh, it's going to be biased 100%. And he's also kind of... Look, if he wants to make a documentary featuring what is happening there, all of the things are happening now. They're circling Kiev now. They're on their way in. All that's happening in the span of now, and he's gone. So I don't know what type of documentary he's going to expect to make when, now that all of the key things are starting to happen, he's already left. So I think it's going to only show like very limited as to what has been going on in Ukraine throughout this time, and whatever he produces will be very, very much so with what the narrative has been trying to tell us and sell us. You have to support Ukraine, and liberals who can't stand guns are basically out of nowhere being like, oh, yeah, we must arm everybody with automatic rifles that they probably have no training in using. So it's going to be very biased, and that's not a surprise.
Well, he's a left-winger, and I'd be interested to know who's actually financing this this documentary that he's producing.
That's a good point.
Okay, hang on. I've got a feed here. Let me just pull it up for you, folks. And I have an air raid siren going off in my head from one of the feeds we have coming in from Ukraine. It's hard to concentrate when I've got all these different feeds coming in. But hang on, we've got this for you.
Yeah. A lot of people actually say that, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see, I'm not sure exactly where this is. This is
This parking lot is just absolutely packed.
the convoy heading from California to Washington, D.C. And let me just see if I can establish where these guys are. And let me get this siren out of my head. Sorry. There we go. Wow, that's hard to concentrate and think of what you're doing when you've got that thing blaring in your ears. I can't imagine living with that. I just can't imagine. You know, it's when I was a kid, we had an air raid siren right by our house. And back in the 1970s, they had air raid sirens all over. I think it was Canada, certainly in Ontario, but I think they were Canada-wide, and they would come and test it just every once in a while, usually about twice a year, as I recall. And they would let that thing blare for usually about 10 minutes or so, twice a year. And yeah, I could see the air raid siren. It was right by our house. Then they decommissioned them in the 1980s, I believe. Don't quote me on the
No, it
on the
sounds
exact
about right.
time, but
Well, NORAD's gone through quite a few changes. It's probably worth looking into what NORAD is now as opposed to what it was in your day when those air raid sirens were in effect. And they were kind of responsible for early warning systems from nuclear weapons heading over the pole. We're a lot closer to Russia than people think. They're just to the north of us.
Mm-hmm.
Just over the pole and beside us at Alaska. Like, we're right there.
Yeah, so I believe this is a feed out of Monrovia, California, which isn't too far from Los Angeles, and it's part of the People's Convoy. And so these guys are obviously supporting what the truckers there are doing, and that that convoy in the USA seems to be growing, and we have a number of protests scheduled for March 5th in Canada as well. There's supposed to be a big one in Ottawa, March 5th.
Is that the Million Man March one?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't really know what to make of that, though. When they call it a Million Man March, I think it's more a turn of phrase than anything else. Whether they get 1 million people up there, I doubt that. I have to be honest, like I doubt it this weekend. So I don't think they're going to get 1 million people in Ottawa this weekend, but maybe across Canada, 1 million people will march across the country in various locations, right? These people here are getting ready. I think there are going to be speeches here tonight.
Yes, I did bring up their website.
My apologies. It's Monrovia, Indiana.
Oh, there we go.
Which makes a whole lot more sense.
Yes. Here, just take a look.
Thank you, Justine. I appreciate that.
Take a look at my share screen just for a moment.
Sure.
It's going to tell us what everything's going. So this is a People's Convoy website. Shifting gears. A rally for freedom and accountability. Wednesday, March 2nd, 7 p.m. Ted Everett Farm Equipment, Monrovia, Indiana.
Yep.
So this is going to be about 2,000 people, over 2,000.
Now we're dialed in. Now I know where the feed's coming from. I understand now. That makes way more sense. I was like, how are they going to get to Washington, D.C. if they haven't even left California yet? But I thought maybe it's something local happening when the feed was sent here, when they sent that link to me. So I appreciate that very much. Now that makes more sense. Yeah, you can get to Washington from there. And yeah, we're going to stay tuned to that. Maybe we can pick up the speeches when they start and pick up some of that information and get a tab on what's going on there. They got a pretty good crowd out.
Leave it to Americans, man. They know how to get things done.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I think Joe Biden kind of made a fatal flaw in his address there last night. He's just like Justin Trudeau. He's going to ignore this thing until it's too late.
You mean the convoy?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so he's ignoring the convoy entirely, other than his National Guard response, which they're pretty much begging for states to send troops to Washington, D.C. to, quote-unquote, protect the Capitol through all this, where they will not be handed any weapons or... I think their precedent on what they're expecting the National Guard to do is very poor, because they're saying they won't be handed weapons, and the police won't be using any military-style weapons against people. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has told Joe Biden to take a hike, and he won't be providing any National Guardsmen from Florida to assist with that. Some interesting reactions on that, because now they're saying, oh, well, if you don't supply a National Guardsman for this, then we won't help you when hurricane season comes. And I found that kind of atrocious.
Well, I don't think they came out and said that, Brendan. There was some concern, or some people said that it might not be a great idea to withhold the National Guard, because when hurricane season hits, then they might not get the support that they need from the federal government. But that's a lot of politics, and
yeah,
I
that's
think
more
that
accurate.
I think that they're nobody said they wouldn't at this point.
No.
And
to be honest, a hurricane would actually have to hit, and then we'd have to get a statement before making that determination. But a lot of talking heads and a lot of liberals are saying, oh, well, if they don't do this, then just remember, it's kind of an empty threat made by a lot of leftists, so to speak.
Well, we did bring you the live coverage of the State of the Union address with Joe Biden last night. And honestly, he really did make some pretty glaring errors. He, at times, there were, slurs in his words. I made a bunch of notes here. He referred to, I think he was trying to say Ukraine and ended up saying Iran. And in fact, I think we have a clip of that, don't we? Queued up at some point that we can play for people?
Yeah, hold up.
Yeah, Biden is with the Iranians. That's right. Biden is with the Iranians.
Yeah, he mispronounced it entirely. He calls it like Uranians, and it's like, what? Here's a clip here we could all kind of laugh.
Yeah, from the planet Uranus. Here we go.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
The uranium people.
Play it again.
Yeah.
Give me some audio more if you got it.
No, it's as high as this one goes. I mean, I could look for another one, but
it's okay.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their
So
love of
he
freedom.
does say Uranian. He says Iranian because it's like Italy. You don't say Italy and you don't say Iran. It's Iran, and he's saying Iranian. But the point is, it should be Ukrainian, and he said Iranian.
Yeah, he's up there going,
Because he's losing his mind. He's losing his mind.
Yeah, maybe it's not that funny to make fun of a seriously ill old man.
I don't really feel that sorry for him, to be quite honest, because he's not a nice guy. He is not a nice guy. Go back and look at the things he's done over the course of his career. Look at the way he's talked to people. Look at the way he's sometimes just flies off the handle and attacks people. He walks around like he's Joe Cool, right, with his aviator sunglasses. You know, what an ego that guy has, and up to his neck in corruption in Ukraine. The uranium people. Yeah. Yep.
Now that sounds like a T-shirt.
Yeah. And Kamala was laughing. I think she was horrified.
Oh, yeah.
Let's play it again and look at her reaction when he says that.
Okay. Let me bring it back up.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, the brother of Pastor Arthur Pavlovsky has been arrested. That information just coming in. Arthur Pavlovsky, the religious leader, the pastor from Western Canada. I remember the first time I heard of him, he was feeding the homeless and on the streets in the middle of winter in Calgary, and then the Calgary cops came and arrested him on the streets for doing that because of COVID restrictions.
This one here is quite a bit louder. So
Sure. Let's let it
He
go.
may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world. He may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts
Look at
and
her.
souls of the
Look
Iranian
at
people.
Kamala. Did you see her?
yep, she's like,
Yeah, she's like horrified.
do you
She's like,
remember?
she's like, dude, get out of my way. I want to be president.
Did you see his Joe Biden's wife, had said President Kamala Harris? It was like a tongue slip.
Yeah. And that speech last night, Brendan, was one of the least inspiring speeches, least inspiring State of the Union addresses I've ever heard. It was, like I said last night, low energy. It was designed to sort of push a bunch of buttons for specific interest groups and certain categories of people that fell into line with identity politics and identity political groups. So
Yep.
he was saying specific lines for, the LGBTQ community, for women's groups, by mentioning abortion and, just trying to check the right boxes off as he went along, that particularly near the end. Go ahead.
Uninspiring is the words I would use. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, Rick. I only watched like the first 15 minutes of it, and then I switched over to your commentary and was just like, it was bad.
You know, the one thing, and maybe do you have that footage? Can you bring up just the feed from last night, or just bring it back up? I just want to make note of the thing that really struck me the most about that last night was that there were no masks.
Yeah.
Masks were optional, and this was a big deal in my mind, because what was going this is what was going on. He has the lowest approval rating. I think it's got to be the lowest in history for any president. If it isn't, it's very close. Only about a third of the country in a recent poll feels that the United States is moving in the right direction. The rest of the population feels that the U.S. is moving in the wrong direction. His approval rating is abysmal, and his first year in office has been a complete disaster. He's had one misstep after another. If he's not falling down the stairs of Air Force One, he's busy screwing up a military operation in Afghanistan and can't figure out how to pull out. Okay?
He's actually getting a lot of kickback about that. So 13 United States servicemen and women had died, or I don't know, whatever, but 13 American service people had died in that operation. And people are really outraged that he did not make mention of them, that he didn't even need to talk about how badly he screwed up, but he could have offered some words of solace for the families affected by it. It's absolutely disgraceful how that entire thing was handled. I do have the footage pulled up. If you
just let it roll, pull it up, but just move ahead to the area where he's maybe walking in or something, just so we can look at the crowd.
Yeah.
So we can get a crowd shot and show all the people. Okay, go full screen. Okay. So this is from our live coverage last night. And as you can see in the audience, look around. Look at all these, look at all these Democrats, all these politicians, all these neocons, all these rhinos. No masks. I guess there was, the directive from the medical experts prior to this was such that they made masks optional. Well, isn't that convenient?
There's one.
Yeah, there were one or two, but for the most part, no masks. And here's why. It's because Biden needs something positive to give to the people. After a disastrous first year.
Yeah.
This was an attempt to show visually in his State of the Union address, and isn't it convenient that masks optional recommendation came down just as he was ready and scheduled to deliver his State of the Union address.
Oddly enough, at the same time, emergency divisions in the United States have updated their nuclear crisis handling to include social distancing and masking. So, what?
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've seen in a long time. So that directive or recommendation, guideline, it's the COVID suggestions, which is to stay 6 feet apart and wear a mask in the event of a nuclear attack. That's even stupider than duck and cover. That's freaking dumb.
Well, a lot of people crap on duck and cover, but a nuclear blast zone is only usually like half a mile of direct, which is quite a big amount of space, I will admit. But if you're not directly in the blast zone, you could expect to get glass and different amounts of debris flying around in a building that you're in. So, it is relatively smart to put your head down. And
you're trying to tell me that a nuclear blast only has a blast radius of half a mile?
Some of them do, yes, depending on what you're using.
I'll tell you
But-
what. I'll tell you what then, Brendan. You stand like, say, maybe 2 miles from it and see how you fare. Because I don't think so. I don't think that's accurate at all.
Well, I think it is accurate that
Okay. Well,
there's going to be a shockwave after this incident, and you could stand in the shockwave zone and not duck and cover and get a glass shard in your eyeball and die, because that's what could happen. So duck and cover isn't as stupid as it sounds, to be honest. They would tell you to do the same thing in a Twister. Just saying. Throwing it out there.
I'm just looking it up. Not that I'm, I just want to know now. I want to know. It depends on the type of bomb.
Depends on the bomb and the situation.
Have you seen the footage from Hiroshima?
Yeah. Many times.
Let's bring that up and take a look and see what the blast radius of that was. I don't know what the blast radius is. I think it depends on whether it's like an atomic bomb or a hydrogen bomb.
Okay, so Hiroshima the blast radius was 1.6 kilometers. So that is about half a mile or so. But it's the problem.
Now look at what the strength of today's nuclear weapons are.
Oh, it looks like people have researched this one a lot recently. The initial radiation pulse from a 1 kiloton device could cause 50% mortality from radiation exposure to individual without immediate medical intervention. Within approximately
Here it is.
half a mile, 790 meter radius.
Defense affairs expert Sandeep Thapar told India TV Digital that if a 30 kiloton atomic bomb is used, an area of up to 4 kilometers can be completely destroyed. Whereas if bombs of up to 1,000 kilotons are dropped, then its effect can reach as far as 100 kilometers. This devastation happens in a circular form. That's why the whole duck and cover thing was so freaking stupid back in the 1950s when all that stuff was going on.
Well, all my point is nothing's going to protect you in that in that area where the bomb hits. But when you're in the shockwave radius, you're going to want to protect your face from flying debris. That's the takeaway from it, right?
Well, today's bombs are like, I don't know, 1,000 times more powerful. And, the atomic bomb was insane, right? How powerful it was. Mm-hmm. That's what brought the Second World War to an end with Japan. Here, let's watch the duck and cover video.
Dum dum, beetle dum dum, beetle dum dum, beetle dum dum. There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened him, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. He ducked and cover, ducked and cover.
He did what we all must learn to do. You
and you
and you
and you duck and cover.
Be sure and remember what Bert the Turtle just did, friends, because every one of us must remember to do the same thing. That's what this film is all about. Duck and cover. This is an official civil defense film produced in cooperation with the Federal Civil Defense Administration and in consultation with the Safety Commission of the National Education Association. Produced by Archer Productions, Incorporated. Hey, Bert, come on out and meet all these nice people, please. Oh, all right. We really can't blame you. You see, Bert is a very, very careful fellow. When there's danger, this is the way he keeps from being hurt. Sometimes it even saves his life. That's why these children are practicing to duck and cover just as you do in your school. We all know the atomic bomb is very dangerous. Since it may be used against us, we must get ready for it just as we are ready for many other dangers that are around us all the time. Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings if someone is careless. But we are ready for fires. We have a fine fire department to put out the fire, and you have fire drills in your school so you know what to do. Automobiles can be dangerous, too. They sometimes cause bad accidents, but we are ready. We have safety rules that car drivers and people who are walking must obey. Now, we must be ready for a new danger, the atomic bomb. First, you have to know what happens when an atomic bomb explodes. You will know when it comes. We hope it never comes, but we must get ready. It looks something like this. There is a bright flash, brighter than the sun, brighter than anything you've ever seen. If you are not ready and did not know what to do, it could hurt you in different ways. It could knock you down hard or throw you against a tree or a wall. It is such a big explosion, it can smash in buildings and knock signboards over and break windows all over town. But if you duck and cover like Bert, you will be much safer. You know how bad sunburn can feel. The atomic bomb flash could burn you worse than a terrible sunburn, especially where you're not covered. Now, you and I don't have shells to crawl into like Bert the Turtle, so we have to cover up in our own way. First, you duck, and then you cover. And very tightly, you cover the back of your neck and your face. Duck and cover underneath a table or desk or anything else close by. In Betty's school, they are talking about the atomic bomb, too. Betty is asking her teacher, how can we tell when the atomic bomb may explode? And her teacher is explaining that there are two kinds of attack, with warning and without any warning. We think that most of the time we will be warned before the bomb explodes, so there will be time for us to get into our homes, schools, or some other safe place. Our civil defense workers and our men in uniform will do everything they can to warn us before enemy planes can bring a bomb near us. You may be in your schoolyard playing when the signal comes. That signal means to stop whatever you are doing and get to the nearest safe place fast. Always remember, the flash of an atomic bomb can come at any time, no matter where you may be. You might be out playing at home when the warning comes. Then be sure to get into the house fast, where your parents have fixed a safe place for you to go. If you are not close to home when you hear the warning, go to the nearest safe cover. Know where you are to go, or ask an older person to help you. You know the places marked with the S sign? They're safe places to go when you hear the alarm. If there is a warning, you will hear it before the bomb explodes. But sometimes, and this is very, very important, sometimes the bomb might explode without any warning. Then the first thing we would know about it would be the flash. And that means duck and cover fast, wherever you are. There's no time to look around or wait. Be like Bert. When there is a flash, duck and cover, and do it fast. Here are some older boys showing what to do if the flash comes when you are not in the classroom. This is what to do if you should be in a corridor. You duck and cover tight against the wall this way. Remember to keep your face and the back of your neck covered tightly. Try to fall away from windows or doors with glass in them. Then, if the glass breaks and flies through the air, it won't cut you. You might be eating your lunch when the flash comes. Duck and cover under the table. Then, if the explosion makes anything in the room fall down, it can't fall on you. Getting ready means we will all have to be able to take care of ourselves. The bomb might explode when there are no grown-ups near. Paul and Patty know this, and they're always ready to take care of themselves. Here they are on their way to school on a beautiful spring day. But no matter where they go or what they do, they always try to remember what to do if the atom bomb explodes right then. It's a bomb. Duck and cover.
Oh, yeah, you'll be safe
Paul
if you do
and
that.
Patty know
No
what
need to
do.
worry. Just duck
Paul
and cover.
covered the back of his head so that he wouldn't be burned. And Patty covered herself with the coat she was carrying. They knew how to duck and cover. They acted right away when the flash came.
And then no problem.
If they had been at this doorway when the bomb flashed, Paul and Patty would have ducked and covered this way, like this girl. Heavy doorways are a good place to duck and cover. She will be safer, too. Here's Tony going to his Cub Scout meeting. Tony knows the bomb can explode any time of the year, day or night. He is ready for it. Duck and cover. Atta boy, Tony. That flash means act fast. Tony knows that it helps to get to any kind of cover. This wall was close by, so that's where he ducked and covered. Tony knew what to do. Notice how he keeps from moving or from getting up and running? He stays down until he is sure the danger is over. The man helping Tony is a civil defense worker. His job is to help protect us when there is danger of the atomic bomb. We must obey the civil defense worker. We must know how to duck and cover in the school bus or in any other bus or streetcar. Duck and cover. Don't wait. Duck away from the windows fast. The glass may break and fly through the air and cut you. Sundays, holidays, vacation time, we must be ready every day, all the time, to do the right thing if the atomic bomb explodes. Duck and cover. This family knows what to do, just as your own family should. They know that even a thin cloth helps protect them. Even a newspaper can save you from a bad burn. But the most important thing of all is to duck and cover yourself, especially where your clothes do not cover you. No matter where we live, in the city or the country, we must be ready all the time for the atomic bomb. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do, duck and cover. The next important thing to do after that is to stay covered until the danger is over. Yes, we must all get ready now, so we know how to save ourselves if the atomic bomb ever explodes near us. If you do not know just what to do, ask your teacher when this film is over. Discuss what you could do in different places if a bomb explodes. Older people will help us as they always do, but there might not be any grown-ups around when the bomb explodes. Then, you're on your own.
Remember what to do, friends. Now tell me right out loud. What are you supposed to do when you see the flash?
Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Duck and cover.
Well, that makes me feel better.
Yep.
Oh, man. And yes, somebody just mentioned that was, state propaganda from the 1950s, which is exactly what it was. And back in the 50s, when they were doing nuclear tests, they had military personnel stationed very close to the blasts so they could then study the effects of the radiation on them afterward. They used them as guinea pigs. But, trust your government. Just trust your government. They'll take care of you. Just go out, whatever they tell you to do, just do it, right? It's for the greater good because we're all in it together. And as long as you stand 6 feet apart and wear a mask, you'll be fine if the bombs come raining down. If those pesky Russians send their freaking nukes over here, don't you worry, because all you have to do is duck and cover. All will be well. So yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know, Brendan. I don't know what the blast radius is. I'm no expert, that's for sure.
I know, but there is an app for that,
Uh-huh.
and I just found one, so I was just looking at that. But so, Rick, we're both kind of right in this situation. It's just all about where you are in the blast radius, because if the bomb does go off and you are outside of the deadly zone, like I said, there's going to be falling debris and that sort of thing. The Democratic People's Republic of Korea nuclear weapon program. So what's the damage on that bad boy? 140 kilotons?
Yeah, so you can see, if you go back to 1945 on this chart, it just shows how much that the bombs have become bigger and bigger and bigger so they can kill more and more people with greater efficiency. Because, that's exactly what humanity needs, right? Very important. So August 1945, that was the little boy Hiroshima blast was a 15 kiloton bomb. That's way over there on the far left, that little blue guy. And then the Russians keep upping the ante, and the Americans are following as well. But I
That's
know
Koreans.
Sorry, Koreans. I know that Russia has the biggest. I'm pretty sure. Again, I'm not an expert on this stuff because I haven't followed it in a long time. Not that I ever was an expert. But it's my understanding that the Russians have the biggest nuclear bomb in the world, and the United States has the second biggest. I don't know when after a certain point. I just don't know.
Well,
but there's a 140 kiloton that was in September 2017 that was detonated, I guess, or that's the strength of a 140 kiloton blast versus what was set off in 1945.
Well, here, if you go over to my
Hiroshima.
screen,
Yep.
we'll take. So I found this. This is an app. So this is where it's going to drop. You enter your kilotons here, which we just used the North Korea example that Rick just pulled up. So hit detonate, and that's all of Toronto evaporated.
Yeah.
Gone.
And versus what was it in 1945? That was a 15 kiloton. So put that in, and let's see what the effects of that are.
Yeah. Still a pretty significant chunk.
Most of the city.
Yep.
And we don't mean to
And the
pick
water.
on Toronto or anything, right? Nothing
No.
against Toronto. We're just
No. I just picked a major metropolis. I mean, I didn't. Anyway, that's enough of this.
And the United States has they have the mother of all bombs, they call it, and it's not nuclear, but I believe it is about as powerful as the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. It's close to being as powerful, just about as close to being as powerful as a nuclear weapon.
So they dropped that on ISIS caves in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
In 2017. Washington had declared they had dropped the mother of all bombs, the most powerful conventional bomb in the American arsenal, on the Islamic State complexes in 2017.
Peter Grimshaw says Toronto is mostly liberal and NDP. I don't know what he's getting at.
I don't know either.
Honk honk bomb, bunker busters. That's right. Bunker busters.
I don't know. It's some pretty grim thoughts.
To say the
that?
least, yep.
Um,
But that just shows you how the technology has changed. I won't say improved, but changed from 45 until, well, pretty much today. That's September 2017, 140 kilotons.
well, that's North Korea. So I mean, whatever they have, Russia's got better. I would wager.
Oh, probably. Yeah, well, anyway, we can maybe come back to some of this in a little while, but let's talk. I'm going to check in on that feed and see if we've got the speeches going on yet.
Yes, it is 7 o'clock. Which I don't know if that is Eastern.
No, speeches haven't started yet.
I'm just getting the time difference between Indiana and Eastern. Yeah, it should be any minute now. It's on Eastern time. So we'll
Yeah,
have to
hopefully
wait
the
and see.
hopefully the feed stays stable. While we wait for these guys to get cranked up there, Brendan, maybe we can bring up that picture of Chrystia Freeland with the standing there with the Nazis in solidarity and
Roger that. There she is.
yeah, Louise, the skin does burn right off you, and it depends on how close you are, and of course it's the radiation as well that kills after the fact, and you get the radioactive fallout, and it's terrible. And I know that people have been buying up potassium iodide pills to try and prepare for the worst while we hope for the best, right? And we're doing that because the country today is run and the world is run by people like Chrystia Freeland, who is standing there right now with real Nazis. That is a banner for a far-right fascist group from Ukraine. That's the truth. And
yes, that was also confirmed by our guest last night, who has spent a significant amount of time in Ukraine and Russia and is familiar with the language. We had him verify that on the air last night. And so interestingly enough, I don't think she cares that she hasn't said anything about this.
Well, she took it down today. She scrubbed that from her Twitter page because obviously, people picked up on it. It's been making the rounds, and I think it's difficult for Chrystia Freeland, who is Canada's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, to deny that she realized or knew what she was doing, because she went to school in Russia. She has since been banned from Russia. She's not allowed to go back because she caused a lot of trouble, I guess, for the Russian government when she was there. She
USSR, that is, yeah.
Yes, yeah, the USSR. But she's not allowed to go back to Russia. She's not allowed to enter the country. And let's see if we can. I'll see if I can get you the information on this group.
Now, I had found that if you take a look at several different articles, the Ottawa Citizen and several other news groups have reported that there is nationalist Nazis that live in Ukraine and are quite militant. The Canadian military has also had interactions with these groups, interestingly enough. So that's kind of almost even hard to believe, but basically we've had all of Canada's Parliament call blue-collar workers who participated in the trucker convoy Nazis, but they hashtag stand with Ukraine and has had interactions with several groups that are actually Nazis.
Well, this group is the Banderites, and they are a neo-Nazi movement in Ukraine. And Freeland stood with them this past weekend with their banner, which displays the group's colors. And across the banner, the words in Ukrainian mean glory to Ukraine. Also standing with Freeland and those neo-Nazis was Toronto Mayor John Tory, who included a caption on his page, apparently, that said, "We stand united. We stand with Ukraine." Now, as we indicated in that statement from the Russian embassy, they said, and Vladimir Putin said this in his address to Russia and the world just earlier, what was not even a week ago, that his intent was to denazify Ukraine. And I think that people in Canada and even the United States have a difficult time understanding what all of this really means and putting true, proper context and perspective on this. Nazi in Canada has come to mean something other than Nazi, I think. It's been watered down so much. And it's watered down because people like Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau and the far radical left, which is really what the Liberal Party and the NDP have become, they just basically call anyone who's opposed to them politically a Nazi, a racist, a fascist. It's just an all-encompassing singular term now that they use as an insult to throw at people when they run out of good arguments in a political debate. And it seems like most of the time that's all they have left. So they just sling that at people. And it's been used so much over probably the past decade by these radical left-wingers that the meaning has been lost. People know it's a terrible thing, but it's become a cliche in their minds. It's like a Nazi from a movie. And in people's minds, a Nazi is a racist, a terrible racist, genocidal maniac. And a communist or a socialist is someone who wants to help people by redistributing wealth and making everything equal for everyone. The reality is the communism has led to far more death, and communist dictators have killed far more people than Adolf Hitler ever did. And Hitler was a monster. And he was a fascist. But what people don't realize is the Nazis in Germany were the fascists, were socialists. The Nazis were the National Socialist Party. And this idea that you have the left wing and the right wing, and on the left you have the socialists, and on the right you have the Nazis, it's wrong. The Nazis and the fascists are over here on the left side of the political spectrum, the totalitarian side, if you will, with the communists. It's just that the Nazis are national socialists. They believe in socialism on a national scale and national sovereignty. Communists want a global socialism, a global form of communism. Both of them use fascistic, totalitarian, authoritative measures to achieve their goals. And the reason both of those ideologies end up in death is because they both start from a point of coercion, where they take from these people to, by force, through the threat of legal penalty and at the point of a gun or imprisonment, but it has to start from a point of coercion in order to take wealth from these people in order to give it to people over there for whatever purpose. And it's not always philanthropic. It's not always about charity or equality, because they end up distributing that wealth and managing the economy in the way that they choose to manage it. This picture should really be a wake-up call and a warning bell, an alarm bell, or an air raid siren for the entire country. Because Canadians need to ask themselves, what does our government really stand for today? Is Justin Trudeau's administration truly looking out for the people? Is this government really philanthropic? Is it pursuing equality? Is this really what gets us to sunny ways? I would suggest to you that our government is fascistic. And today, the Liberal government of Canada really fits into a hybrid fascio-communist type of governance. It really fits the true definition of fascism as defined by Mussolini, which is a government. It's the integration of government and corporations, where government really controls corporations, which are still technically privately owned, but they have to follow government dictates. And how does the government achieve that? Through the use of grants, through protection provided through legislation to prevent other companies from coming in and competing with corporations. They provide protection. They provide funding. They provide tax breaks. They provide outright grants for these big companies. And they control these big corporations. So we get a corporatocracy. But all of these big companies, all of these corporations have to toe the party line. They have to do the government's bidding in order to continue to qualify for all of those government handouts and government protections. That's fascism. And if you don't fall in line, not only do you not get what the government gives you, but they punish you. And that's why we get mandates. That's why we get people excluded, not allowed to participate in society. It's very fascistic. And it's pretty sick. And those are the tactics and methods and strategies that are being employed today by Canada's governments. What was that swastika all about there, Brendan? I don't understand what it was.
There was a nationalist group in Kiev that had a protest rally there in 2019, and they decorated the staircase in the mall with that swastika.
So, so people need to understand that, right?
I didn't want to leave it up there too long because YouTube doesn't like that. So I just thought it was worth sharing to give you a perspective that this is something that is alive and well out there. You're absolutely right on a number of factors when you're talking about those things, Rick, that we have a big problem when we look at ideas like socialism and communism, and we have all of these people about us, and they're always saying, oh, I know those people in the past couldn't do it right, but I can. And that is the most narcissistic statement you could ever make. That's like failing a science experiment 1,000,000 times and being like, well, that other guy was a total idiot. I could fix it, though. I could do it. And then it doesn't work because
you're getting to the idea that people who defend communism would say that it didn't work there because that wasn't true communism. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's lots of people who say, well, I know communism and socialism didn't work in the past, but if I could do it, it will work. And it's just a very narcissistic statement to make. Very foolish.
Well, Ruth Baggard says, did we all forget about how Ukraine marches in honor of fallen Ukrainian SS soldiers who fought for Germany? They do this every year. That's sort of my point, too, is that over there, especially in Russia, they remember what real fascism is, what real Nazis are, and there are still real neo-Nazi groups thriving in Ukraine. Not to say the whole country is like that. That's not true. But there are neo-Nazi groups, real Nazis, still subscribing to that ideology in Ukraine today. One of those groups, the Banderites, has members here in Canada. Those are the real Nazis. The truckers, those are not the Nazis you're looking for. The real Nazis, you were looking at them a minute ago, standing there with Chrystia Freeland, who stood there in unity with them. And I'm sorry, but Chrystia Freeland cannot plead ignorance on this. She is very familiar with history. She studied in Russia. She has ties to Ukraine.
She speaks the language.
She knows what this is all about. She knew what she was doing. And yet she stood there anyway, and then has the audacity to sit there and call the truckers fighting for freedom, which honestly is at the opposite end of the political scale that I would draw for you anyway. You'll find fascists and communists over here on the left, which is opposite on the screen, but you find it over on the left, the far left, together, fascists and communists who subscribe to authoritarian measures. And then on the opposite side, you'll find people fighting for freedom. And I would say that is more akin to what we've had in Canada and the United States since the Second World War. But that's been eroded and deteriorated and torn down, and I don't think it exists here anymore. Not as of 2022, not after what Justin Trudeau did to the truckers in Ottawa and Chrystia Freeland with her decision to freeze bank accounts. They are employing the exact same kinds of tactics that we've seen in the past. Even with all these mandates, they're very fascistic and very communistic. And that's why we're heading down this path toward a social credit system. Canadians need to wake up. Ask yourself, is this really the kind of government you want to support? Do you want freedom or do you want fascism? Because I submit to you that what we're getting from the Canadian government here is a hybrid fascio-communistic system. That's what we have in place right now. That's what we're living under. That's why we're living the way we're living. Yeah, Jolanda, I think you're right. 1933 Germany. And 1933 in Germany was a prelude of things to come. Things that led up to the Second World War and the atrocities and the horror that we saw. And we need to do things to make sure this doesn't happen again. And what we're seeing play out in Ukraine right now, it's scary. This is the scariest thing I've seen, honestly, in my lifetime. I'm more afraid of this than I was at any time when I was a kid. And I think this is worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Interesting.
It's terrifying.
Interesting. Yeah, because some people feel the opposite way, right? So some people think that, oh, well, I think there's only been one other time that we've been closer to all-out nuclear war, was when there was equipment on a USSR submarine that was malfunctioning, and it was showing an encroaching missile, and the guy decided to not launch, and that was the closest that we've been. But right now they're in high alert. People are jumpy. People are really jumpy, and it's really quite terrifying. I really want this to be over.
Let me read the rest of this Russian embassy statement, which we began earlier in the broadcast, but I'll just read it out for you. This is what the Russian embassy said, and they said that Russia continues its special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. We just showed you why. It's because there are real Nazis in Ukraine. real neo-Nazi groups, not like a bunch of truckers that they're trying to smear with the Nazi insult. These are real Nazi groups. And some of these people have been propped up by Western governments and corrupt Western politicians from various countries. You got to understand that Ukraine has been and continues to be a very corrupt country. And it's like a hub for international money laundering. The statement goes on, the Russian army does not occupy Ukrainian territory and takes all measures to preserve the lives and safety of civilians. The strikes are targeting military facilities only, being carried out exclusively with high precision weapons. I would suggest to you folks that all the video evidence we're seeing coming out of there, including from the live feeds that we've been showing you, would support that. We have not seen a blitzkrieg-style assault on Ukraine where the Russians have gone in and have just started to blow away everything in their path. They're, I think, trying to minimize civilian casualties. The word that Putin is that Putin told the military to avoid killing civilians if at all possible. The statement says, we are witnessing an unprecedented wave of lies, fake news, distorted and fabricated facts aimed at discrediting our actions. Goebbels-style Western propaganda was predictable. It cannot be trusted. The public in Canada should understand that. The truth is different. Crimes against humanity and violations of international humanitarian law are committed by the armed forces of Ukraine and such neo-Nazi groups as Azov, Right Sector, and others, and we showed you another one. The multiple evidence is available in open sources. The Ukrainian side is deploying multiple launch rocket systems and artillery in the courtyards of residential buildings, hospitals, schools, and kindergartens. The armed forces of Ukraine, nationalist and neo-Nazi groups use civilian infrastructure and population as human shields. It is essential to understand the rationale behind these actions. The Ukrainian authorities and its Western patrons are committing monstrous and inhuman provocations in order to put all the blame on Russia. In fact, the full responsibility for the destruction and innocent victims lies with the regime in Kiev. The Russian army is fighting neither Ukraine nor the Ukrainians. The tanks to clear Ukraine of Nazism and to demilitarize it will be accomplished. Those responsible for genocide and 8 years-long war started in Kiev against its own people, silently watched and frequently encouraged by the West, will be brought to justice. Russia is not starting wars. Russia is ending them. So that's the Russian perspective. That's the statement from the Russian embassy. Take it for what it's worth. And I would suggest to you that you should take it and give it some weight, because in order to form a proper, educated, balanced decision, you need all the information, and there is part of it. Would I trust everything the Russians are saying? No, I would not. Not at all. But I've been watching RT. I've been watching the Western news feeds. I've been watching all of it. I've been trying to soak up as much information as I can. Here's the truth. Western governments are now supplying weapons to Ukraine. Where are those weapons going? They're putting guns, military-grade machine guns and automatic weapons, hand grenades, bulletproof vests, night vision goggles from Canada, other heavy weapons, into the hands of civilians. I said this yesterday and the day before. I think it's a bad idea. Why do I think it's a bad idea? Because now you're putting civilians in harm's way. Now you're muddying the waters. Already on the Western media, what are we seeing? We're seeing reports that Russia is targeting civilian targets. And I saw today footage of houses that had been bombed, whether directly or indirectly damaged from blasts from Russian bombing raids. That's what's happening. Well, I'm sorry, folks, but what did you think would happen if you put a bunch of guns into the hands of untrained civilians and said, go on over there and fight. What do you think is going to happen to these Canadians who are heading over there right now because they've been fed all this information on the mainstream media, and they've all decided, yeah, I think I'm going to go over there and fight with the Ukrainians. What do you think is going to happen to them? They're going to get over there and going to give them guns, and then they're going to run out and stand in front of a tank. What do you think is going to happen to these people?
I think we have the potential for an international incident. And
this is an international incident.
No. In regards to, this could put Russia's crosshairs right on us, on Canada.
It already is. You're right. They're already looking at us that way.
In regards to the citizens, so they take somebody who has a Canadian passport, right? They could automatically assume he's a spy and just hang him or shoot him on the spot.
Well, the problem here immediately is that when you start sending civilians out with guns and arming them, now it's no longer, now they're all targets.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're putting the civilians in harm's way. You're not using soldiers and you're not using military equipment. And the Russians went in there, and we've illustrated for you that up until this point, or maybe until yesterday, they were targeting military targets and strategic targets using precision weapons, just like the U.S. has in many instances in many different wars, to take out military targets only and minimize collateral damage, minimize the deaths of civilians. But when you take this approach, and Biden threw fuel on the fire last night in his State of the Union when with his statement where he said, that the Russian military was coming up against the people of Ukraine. That's what he's getting at. That's what he meant. That's what he said. It's like, yeah, we're giving the civilian population weapons so they can go and fight the Russian military. Well, good luck with that. Because now you get this statement from the Russians where they're making it clear that what they've really ended up doing is they've made military targets out of residential homes, schools, hospitals, other places where you have civilians now who are armed, who have effectively become soldiers. You've turned your civilian population into soldiers. If the Russian military rolls in there now and you have a bunch of civilians who are armed, they're going to get shot or blown up. And they are ill-equipped, honestly, to put up that much of a resistance, in my opinion, to the second largest or maybe even the first largest military force in the world. They were lining up tanks for 40 straight miles yesterday. 40 straight miles. And we're not seeing the same level of damage and devastation in the footage on the Western media that we've been seeing on the RT feeds. I hate to tell you this, and it pains me to tell you, because I don't like to say these things about my country and my government. But honestly, I think we're getting a little more truth out of the Russians than we are from our own government right now. It's pure propaganda. And I'm not really that surprised, given all the lies and the spin and the BS that we see on the mainstream media and have been seeing for years now. Look at the way they just outright lied about everything in Ottawa.
Well, Rick, I'm going to assume at this point, whatever the answer is, it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
You know what, Brendan? I'm not so sure. Not anymore. No, I don't think so.
I don't think Russia is 100% right on anything.
No, I think it's probably more like 70-30. But I'll tell you this: I wouldn't trust Justin Trudeau or Joe Biden or any of these people on the left as far as I could spit at them.
Nobody.
I wouldn't trust
them.
not one syllable that's come out of their mouth. I don't trust one frame of the video that I'm seeing on television. Not one frame of it. It's pure propaganda. It's all designed to get people upset, and it's cheerleading. It's designed to get people emotional and just support this war. So they're all pro-war. Let's go to war. These anti-gun, gun control people for Canada, and now they want to put guns into the hands of civilians over in Ukraine. It doesn't even make sense. And this war, I'm sorry, man, but it unless the United States and NATO is prepared to send in soldiers, the Ukrainians don't stand a chance. And you're going to end up with a lot of people and a lot of body bags over there propping up a corrupt government, trying to prop up a corrupt government whose days are numbered. This is a complete insanity. And the longer it goes on, the more we're at risk of seeing escalation to the point where we could actually see a real nuclear conflict. This is insane. Absolutely insane. And if people continue, these are the same people who locked us down, lied to us, have been lying to us about everything. Everything, man. And now people are like, I don't know. I think maybe Ukraine. Yeah, we should go. Yeah, I'm going to go fight. I'm going to see you, Dad. I'm packing up, putting my life on hold. I'm going to go over there and fight. Yeah, good luck, man. Good luck. And for what? Because you got a bunch of rich people, a bunch of billionaires who've been screwing around, who've propped up a government over there. Let's face it. There's been a whole lot of money flowing through Ukraine, a lot of corrupt money. Christopher Freeland said, let's follow the money. Yeah, let's follow some money. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see some of that tracking. Who's got money in there? We know the Bidens do. And he's the president of the United States right now. Think back. Just think back. That phone call to between Zelensky and Donald Trump and how they went berserk over that. The left, the Democrats. Russia, 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 Russia collusion, Russia hoax. None of that was true at all. Proven. Not a conspiracy theory. It's all true. It's all laid out. If you still think it's a conspiracy or that what I'm telling you isn't true, then you just haven't been paying attention. Check out the Durham report. Spying on a president. Spying. Breaking laws. Lies. Complete fabrications about these truckers in Ottawa. Truckers across Canada. And you're going to put your faith in that and then sit here and try and tell me that we need to listen to them at all? Should we listen to them at all about any of this? I say no. I don't even want to hear what they've got to say anymore. They're not worth listening to. They really are not. Because everything that vomit that comes out of the Prime Minister's mouth every day, if he's not insulting Canadians and dividing us, he's just outright lying to manipulate us. It's just pure propaganda vomit every day from that divisive, hateful little boy. And now people are dying. And what are we getting on the news? A sanitized cheerleading squad. They should be ashamed of themselves. I'm sorry. I'm not on Russia's side. I don't want to see an invasion of Russia in Ukraine, but at the same time, man, there needs to be talks. They need to work this thing out. They could have worked this thing out. This is a failure of foreign policy, a failure of energy policy, and this is at the core, I'm quite certain, about corruption. And these Western politicians, a lot of them are dirty, 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 and they're afraid because if this goes south and it goes the wrong way, a lot of them could be exposed. And don't kid yourself. They're trying to cover their butts by sending people over and having other people die for them. That's a big part of what's going on over there. They want to protect their little money laundering operation. Some of these politicians from around the world. Not just here, not just the Bidens, but other countries as well. You think they're not dirty? And it's the regular people. Just, you want to talk about civilians? We're all paying a price, and the people of Ukraine are paying the biggest price right now, and they're being fed a line of propaganda too. It's all propaganda. It's all freaking propaganda.
Speaking of which, this one's hot off the press.
And I guess this would be as good a time as any to put this up and mention it. If you can support our journalism, go to freedomreporters.com. That's freedomreporters.com. Click the hot link in the YouTube description or on our Facebook platforms. And we'll be expanding out to other video platforms as well. We can't do this without you. There are costs associated with what we're doing here with these broadcasts and what we've been also doing in the field. We're here to provide a counterbalance to the mainstream media and hopefully help you find your way to the truth by providing additional information and hopefully information and perspective that you're not finding elsewhere. freedomreporters.com. And we certainly appreciate the help that people have provided thus far.
Please also remember to like and subscribe and select the bell to receive notifications for when we are broadcasting. We do really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
So let me just check in here, Brendan, and see if we can reestablish that feed.
Sounds good.
Also, as I said, Artur Pavlovsky's brother was arrested today. So we'll try and get you some more information on that.
And Tamara Litch was also denied appeal for bail. She's one of the main protest organizers for Freedom Convoy 2022. So this time it was a different judge than the previous one. So Ontario Superior Court Justice Honorable John M. Johnson was asked to overturn a ruling made by a lower court judge, Julie Bourgeois.
Here we go.
And after more than a 6-hour testimony and arguments, Justice Johnson reserved his decision until Monday, March 7th. Litch, who has been in detention since February 17th, will remain in jail till at least then. So there's an appeal process going on still, and will remain to be seen if she gets out.
I've got the feed, but it's glitchy, so let me just see if I can get the different one coming up. Here we go. I got a good one. People's Convoy, USA. Bring it up here for you.
So, Rick, you had predicted the predicament with, I would not say all individuals, but some individuals being denied bail. And so that was a pretty good call.
You know, together, standing together, we're going to make the difference. We're going to change our country. We're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it lawfully. We're not going to go into D.C., but we're going to stand up and say, hell no, we're not taking it anymore. The games are over. We're taking our country back. This is 1776 again. And everyone needs to understand that. Our rights, our unalienable rights, they come from God, protected by the U.S. Constitution. And the people that aren't government, they ain't forgotten that. You know, we the people, we are the government. We're going to stop it. We're going to take it back. I have a lot of faith in this nation. All the citizens of the United States. You know, we see what Canada did. They're standing up. This is happening all around the world. So many people are fed up. This is about all of us as humanity, standing up for human rights and for each other. And I just encourage you, Never underestimate the power that you make or have as an individual. When you stand up and when you do the right thing, you never know who you're going to influence around you. And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing people who stood up, and everyone is rallying around those people, and we're changing the world. Thank you so much for coming out this evening. Thank you so much. Let's invite Dr. Ryan Cole from Idaho with the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance. All right, I always like to start it like this, because this is the heart of America, and I want to remember it. Here, Dixie, you too, Sweet Pea. It's an honor to be here. And I want to thank you here, because I have a daughter who's a Hoosier. So I feel like I'm coming home when I'm here with you. A man who wrote a little pamphlet called Common Sense a long time ago, Thomas Paine, said, "If there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace." I look out on the face of courage here. This is real America. I don't see fear here. I see the hearts of lions. Thomas Jefferson said, "I am a revolutionary, that my children may be farmers, that their children may be poets." Now, I can stand up here and spew a bunch of medical knowledge. You guys can go online, you've seen us, you've seen my colleague, Dr. Malone, Dr. McCullough. You've seen the doctors at the globalcovidsummit.org. That's 17,000 doctors. We're the ones that care about health freedom. That's more doctors than are at the NIH, or at the CDC, or at the FDA, who have combined, thank you, who have fed you nothing but a crock of lies. I want to get my health instructions from Anthony Fauci. And I welcome a debate with him anytime. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. Yeah. But what is this about? It's not about red parties. It's not about blue parties. It's about red, white, and blue. Because that's who we are. I wore the uniform with pride, and I took an oath to defend our Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. We need our oath takers. And this is a room full of them. These are people that stand for freedom and believe in the Constitution and the rule of law. And we are peaceful, law-abiding citizens, but we're not laying down. If your doctor thinks MD means minor deity, find a new doctor. If your doctor thinks MD means make a difference, you found the right doctor. It's interesting in history, if you look at how tyrannical governments and socialist communist movements started. Mao, Stalin, Pol Pot, Hitler, where did they start? They took over the healthcare system. What have we seen in this last 2 years? Lies. Yes, we've seen lies. And we've seen evil attempts to tell you what to do with your mind and your body. Those are yours. It is all we own. It is sacred and it is ours. I took an oath, and my oath wasn't to the government. My oath was to the patient. My sacred oath is between you and me and my ability to help you be well. But you know what the best doctor you will ever see is in this room right now? It's not me, it's you sitting in your own skin. It's up to us to take care of our own health, not a government. This is a government that has overstepped its bounds. These are healthcare agencies that have overstepped their bounds. It is time to restore freedom to this great land. There is no medical emergency anymore. If they tell you that, they are lying. Yeah, the media's lying too. Yeah, and if you don't know about the Trust the News Initiative and how they all colluded against us, yeah, look that one up too. I don't have time to explain that. I am proud to stand here today with my amazing brother truckers. And my sister truckers, because you're beautiful too. I have an old Peterbilt on my farm, and I like a little grease under my fingers. And at the beginning of the day, I put my shorts on 1 foot at a time, just like the rest of you. Sure, I wear a title. That doesn't matter to me. The only title that matters to me is that I'm American. And today we're all truckers. This is keep on trucking, and let's stand in freedom and unity with peace, firmness, and strong resolve. This is about our children, and we will never bow the knee and never let this happen to us again. It is a red, white, blue issue. And I'm going to get my phone away. I want to finish with one thought. St. Augustine. And you may know this one, but never forget it. The truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. Let it loose. It will defend itself. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
We got another Indiana Dr. Don Scott.
Here's a Hoosier. This is one of my brothers in freedom, Dr. Dan Stock, and I'm honored to be here with him. He represents you as a state, but he also represents medical freedom, and I think it would be an honor to hear a few words from my esteemed, humble, amazing friend, Dan.
My lovely wife Elizabeth and I came out here tonight because we figured if there was a group of people who were willing to inconvenience themselves and put their finances and their names at such great risk to stand up for freedom like this, the least we could do is walk out here to say hello to them. And then Ryan tells me how to come up here and speak to all you guys, which is even more flattering than I have been flattered in a great many ways. I was a little sad to hear the first speaker ever come out and say that he was going to have some doctors come up here who are a lot smarter than you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a bunch of letters behind my name. So does Ryan. So does Dr. Fauci. Those letters and those credentials may have let me find out that this was a sham a little sooner than you guys did. But I doubt that there's anything about your intelligence which is lesser than mine or Ryan's, that you didn't figure out pretty quickly that this wasn't about a virus and this wasn't about healthcare. It was just about making sure that you were subjugated. Ladies and gentlemen, no amount of credentials can be put behind any name to make him so that he can tell you that you're dumber than he is and that you should be genuflecting to his intellect. Who's the boss in the doctor-patient relationship? Ryan said it, I'll say it. Any doctor who won't say it is a doctor that you need to be taking your power back from, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very honored to be standing here today, but let me tell you what kind of things honor me more. I am the son of a 35 missions over Nazi Germany bomber pilot, and the woman he came home to cry out all the horrors that he experienced over there. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to put out nearly as much sacrifice as the people who fought underneath that flag did. But the greatest credential I'm ever going to have is the one that the people who sacrificed, like my mom and dad and the family who put this flag out here, the same thing that every one of you has the chance to earn, and that is to call yourself a United States citizen. And let me tell you how I hope you're going to exercise those incredible credentials that you share. Because the reason we got into this, ladies and gentlemen, was our legislatures have failed us dismally. Those governors, that president, Dr. Fauci wouldn't have that power if our legislatures had not given it to them and then walked away and let them keep it. And if you live here in Indiana, you know that because you watched our legislature with a super majority of Republicans do nothing to take back that power. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have to listen to the newspaper tell you who the candidates are. We know you can think for yourselves because you're a United States citizen. You can find out who the freedom warriors are who are willing to say, I don't work for the leadership in the Senate of the House, of either the federal government or the state legislature. I don't work for the lobbyists. I work for the people who are in my district that I'm supposed to be representing when I go there. I didn't get elected because I was really, really smart and smart to make smart decisions for them. I got elected because all of those people have a collective intelligence, and I was supposed to go there and be their voice. And if you have a candidate who has shown that he is not willing to stand up to his legislative leaders and say, you aren't what matters, then, ladies and gentlemen, you have failed to do what you as a citizen were supposed to be doing. When they wrote our Constitution, the Founding Fathers gave the state legislatures the power to take power back from the federal government and to control it in your name. And you need to make sure that that is where you concentrate your efforts, because the legislatures of every state across this country are where the solution to this lies, not putting a new governor. We're not going to fix this by shooting Dr. Fauci. This is going to get fixed by having the legislatures take that power back from the executive branch where they gave it. We have candidates here stepping up in the state of Indiana to do that. Heather Carey, Becky Cash, Mark Pierce, Sean Selby. I'm forgetting Richard's last name. Bagsby, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, they need your time and their energy. And for those of you who aren't from Indiana, find out those candidates in your state and get that state legislature back under control so it's serving you. Not the leadership, not the lobbyists, not the federal government, it's serving you. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we will have earned the right that these guys fought for and not for us. My mom and dad won't have suffered in vain, and your children won't suffer in the future. And that's what we all need, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everyone who came out here tonight just as much as I want to thank every person in this convoy who has sacrificed their time with their family, their money, and even probably putting their reputations at risk, as you know that they're all going to be written up badly in the press, all right? You're all going to get smeared too, but ladies and gentlemen, let's take all of them and show our gratitude by being involved in that legislative election and making sure that incumbency isn't what gets you a continuing ticket to represent your district. Thank you.
Next speaker we've got Congressional Canada, North Carolina, 12th District, Tyler Lee.
Well, good evening, everyone. As he said earlier, my name is Tyler Lee, and I'm a congressional candidate out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I just want to say it is such a privilege to be on this stage with fellow patriots like yourself, because this movement would not happen without all of you. And these truckers, I just want to take a moment to say it's an honor to stand beside them. And let's just honor them right now. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, these guys inspire me. This is the whole reason I'm running for United States Congress. They inspire me, they inspire you, and they certainly inspired the world. And I have to give a shout out to our brothers and sisters in Canada who lit a fire under all of us. Two years ago, a line in the sand was crossed for me when the government decided to shut down my church and my friends' small businesses, but they left open the strip clubs, the abortion clinics, the liquor stores, big box retailers. And you know what my own governor in North Carolina said? He said, we're going to leave the liquor store open because we need to be able to cope with this pandemic. Yet, people were isolated from their community, from their church community. And because of that, we saw mental health and suicide skyrocket. And this is pure evil that we are fighting against. Since I launched my campaign last May, I couldn't have imagined. We knew it would go downhill, but I could not have imagined how quickly it has happened. But it seems like every day, we're all fighting for the police. We're defending them, not defunding them. We're standing up for parents because their children are being indoctrinated with this evil propaganda. We're standing up for healthcare workers and individuals like yourselves who have been terminated or threatened over termination from their jobs because they decided they wanted to make a personal choice that they didn't want to take the vaccine, and that is unconstitutional and un-American, and we've got to put a stop to it, and we will. But lastly, I have to give a shout out to my truckers. You know, honestly, before 7 days ago, I didn't know much about the trucking industry. And I have to say, many of you in this room are now family to me, and I've listened to their concerns, the overregulation, the unnecessary regulations that these independent truckers deal with, that these corrupt, career-long politicians, they legislate from their ivory tower in D.C. and have no clue what these truckers and individuals deal with in their businesses on a daily basis. And lastly, I want to say one thing about this vaccine. My brother serves in the United States Army, but he has boldly stood up and he has denied the vaccine, and he is being discharged as we speak. And that is so un-American. We're going to put a stop to it. That's the whole reason I left the business world behind. I burned the ships. I am so sick and tired of corrupt, career-long politicians that don't listen to we the people. In the Bible, there's a story where Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, and he went to Pharaoh and he said, "Let my people go." This convoy is going to D.C. to say, "Let my people go, Joe." You know, I follow the Lord Jesus Christ, and I don't believe anything of eternal significance can be accomplished without prayer. So I feel like in this moment tonight, I want all of you to get on your feet right now. There's nothing stronger than this crowd that we have right here. And I want you to grab your neighbor's hand to your left and your right. And we're going to stand in unity. We're all going to pray for our country. We're going to pray for this convoy. We're going to pray for the administration. This is not about Republicans or Democrats, black people versus white people, although the elites want us to be divided, but we're not going to fall for that anymore. We are going to lead boldly and out of fear and fearless. And we're going to pray now. We're going to pray over this country. So bow your heads with me. Father, we come to you now. It's an honor to stand here on this stage. Thank you for this platform that you've given all of us in this room. You've certainly given us a desire, a sense of boldness to stand up against this evil that the church has failed to stand up against for many decades. And it's sad that we have to be here today and do this, but Lord, I pray your angels of protection over this convoy as we make our way towards the DC area. Lord, I pray for our country. I pray that scales will be removed from people's eyes and that they will see the light and that we give them a sense of hope and that you continue to use us as a vessel for your glory. I pray for our administration. I disagree with what they're doing, but Lord, I pray for our administration right now that they will come to see you and that they will begin to turn away from these evil ways that these paths that they are taking us down, Lord. I thank you for what you're doing in our lives, Lord. Thank you for this convoy. Thank you for these truckers, all these patriots. I just pray that you meet them wherever they are at right now, Lord, whether it's a financial situation, it's a health situation. You know their individual needs, and I just pray right now that you continue to bless us and bless our journey as we head towards DC. It's in your name I pray. Amen. Hey, one last thing I want to slip in, and then I'm going to drop the mic here, but when I go to Congress, I'm going to stop funding Anthony Fauci's salary. We're going to get to the bottom of who's funding him and why he's still there, why he's the highest paid government employee. He needs to go, and I'm going to go expose him, but I need your help. I need you behind me because I cannot do this on myself. I'm here to represent you. I work for you. Well, we'll try to lock him up. Thank you all. God bless you, and may God bless America.
Thank you so much. The next message for you tonight is show up Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita. There we go. Who here is from Indiana? All right. Who here is from out of town? Well, let me just say as maybe, I hate to misspeak, but perhaps as the highest office holder found, let me welcome you all to Indiana, the great crossroads of this country. We like suckers here. We like people who love America here. Thank you for standing up and giving us, as the last speaker said, giving us all some courage to stand up for ourselves and stand up for this great nation and all the things that it's given us. No? And I don't know, maybe it's okay that Canada had to wake us up in this regard, but I think we've been waking up for a long time. They call it American exceptionalism. It's spelled with a capital A and a capital E. It doesn't mean that we think we're better than anybody else. That's not the point. It doesn't mean, although we may be, it doesn't mean that we have a better military than everyone else. Oh, at least now we do. Thank God for those men and women. For me, as the Attorney General of the state of Indiana, what American exceptionalism means, is that we are unique to world history. Never before. And that's why you're standing here. You're not standing here because you want me to do something for you. You're standing here because we as the people need to make sure we're keeping this republic like our founders intended. That's the purpose. That's why you're here. If you're here looking, let me tell you something. That guy with the mouth who says, do something for us. Bring us justice. Let me tell you something. Because no politician will ever be this honest with you. If you're looking for me to solve your problem, we will have a problem. This is not a one-person thing, and not one person, whoever gets on this stage, is going to solve it for us. It's only by keeping this republic and taking this country back. And that doesn't mean just going to Washington, D.C. I've been there. It's a terrible, toxic place. We'll go be known there, but you know where you got to be? You got to be in your school board meeting. You got to be at your city hall. You got to be at your county commissioners. Because that's where this pollution is starting. And that's where it's going. And that generation after generation is being indoctrinated. They're not being taught the things that we were taught in grade school and high school. They're not being taught any of that. They're being taught garbage. You know what? I've been to 100 schools. I swear to God. I have been to 100 schools across this country, not just in Indiana. In every classroom I go to, I ask them this question. Same one I'm asking you. Have you ever been taught American exceptionalism? Have you ever been, do you know what that means? Has your teacher ever said that to you? 95 times out of 100, the answer is no. American exceptionalism means we are unique to world history. Doesn't necessarily mean we're better, but we're unique. Why are we unique to world history? We're unique because never before have the best ideas for self-governance, i.e. liberty, come together at the same time, in the same place, but in that Constitution. It hadn't been done before, and it hasn't been done the same way since. We flipped it on its head. No longer were we going to be subjects of a king. No longer will we be ruled by a government, a king. In fact, we the people were on top. And the government is supposed to be subject to us. That's why you're here. And the only thing above us, we the people, is supposed to be the rule of law. The rule of law applies to each of us equally, so it's supposed to go. That is the government's not supposed to pick favorites. It shouldn't matter what color you are. It shouldn't matter your education level. That was the magic. That was the uniqueness. That was the exceptionalism. And that's why you're here. And the only thing above that is God Almighty Himself. So I don't want to take your time anymore. I appreciate letting me welcome you. I want to thank you for the time. I don't know if you're all getting paid for this. But this was a tremendous amount of time. I thank the organizers for keeping us safe. I thank our state police who brought me in and for keeping all of us safe. And I thank all the county officers. We are here for you. We We are here for the police. We are here for you. So, do this. Remember, it's our country. As Franklin said back at the founding, you have a republic if you can keep it. That's where the focus has to be. And if we all get involved, if we all keep the pressure on, if we all keep the focus on, and if we all keep, yes, people in office like to be accountable, then we will be all right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Attorney General. Next for you, we've got Brian Braze, People's Convoy Organizer. Let me first clear the air by saying co-organizer. Co-organizer, because this is not just a one-person job. I'm not the only one doing this. There are many, many, many people part of this. Many of them are here in this crowd right now. There's at least 30 truckers that are part of this. There are multiple organizations that have come that you've seen some of them here that have come up to help us get this going. So, organizer, no. One of many organizers. And right now, I want to give a big round of applause for those hard workers behind that have done this every single day.
She's a lot prettier than me, too.
You know, I didn't really come up here with a game plan, what to talk about, what to say. But I'm nowhere near as good of a talker as some of those people who've been up here.
30 years in.
But I wanna start like this. It's not a right issue. It's not a left issue. It's an American issue. It's not just an American issue. It's a global issue. It's a people's issue. It's a human being issue. It's our issue. The People's Convoy may have been started with some truckers, motivated by our brothers and sisters to the north. Thank you, Canada. We love you. But this isn't a trucker's convoy. I know, weird.
Told you.
Not a trucker's convoy. It's a people's convoy. If you look around in this room right now, you see a lot of different symbolism around. You got a side-by-side hanging out over there. You got a pickup truck over there. Of course, you got the 3 semis in here, but you got a couple beautiful bikes too. You got an old Jeep. You got a pickup with a travel trailer out there. And happens to also be a mobile kitchen because he's taking care of some of us. You see an RV over there, and then you see a bunch of pickup trucks and cars out there. See, this ain't about the truckers. This is about the people of the United States. This is a people's convoy. And I encourage every single American. I don't care if you're from the left side of the aisle, the right side of the aisle. I don't care if you're straight, gay, bi, male, female, or whatever you may be. At the end of the day, you are all Americans. I don't care if somebody comes up here or any other platform and talks about why you should vote for him, because I'm going to be honest with you. Don't. Until you do your research. Look into your candidates. Read all about them. Look into their voting record. Look into their personal life. How are they? Are they really a God-fearing man or woman? Really? Are they? Or do they just get up here and do a bunch of this? Do they really care about their husband or wife and their kids? Or do they just worry about the photo op? Don't Don't ever vote a straight ticket. Never, never, never. Because I promise you, somebody on the right and somebody on the left is evil. You do your research. You become informed voters. The only way to save this country is for it to be ran by we, the people. It is high time that these career politicians go. It's time for things like, I don't know, term limits. It's time that it's recognized that holding a political office is a civic duty in which you leave and go back to work afterwards. Running campaign trails and shaking hands and kissing babies and smiling for the cameras every 2 years or every 4 years or whatever it may be is not running our country. It's just, I don't know, look at me, I got a pretty smile. That crap don't work no more, and it's pretty evident by looking at everybody in this room. We have had enough!
USA! 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 USA!
It's time, and many of you have already heard me say it, so here it comes again. It is time to remind the governments around the world, not just the United States, but around the world, that they work for us! I love each and every single American. I love each and every single human being on earth. I don't care about your background, where you came from, what you believe or do not believe in. I do not care. I don't care because I believe in freedom. You have the right to be and to do and to think and to act as you feel. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. Believe me, I don't agree with everything either. But you can't stand up here and talk about defending the Constitution of the United States or believing in absolute freedom, guided by rule of law, under the Constitution of the United States, your Bill of Rights, and then try to, not like something and protest it, really, right? But what you can do is you can stand up to a government that wants to violate your constitutional rights. You can stand up to people that try to take away your freedoms, and you should. At this point, this is your civic duty to stand up. It is the civic duty of all Americans, of all citizens of the world, to stand up. I'm going to ask my family to come up here. My family, come up here, please. That includes you, Dan, and you, Alan, and Bonnie. Come on. Not anybody in the world is who they are or able to do the things they do without the love and support of their family. Nothing in this world is more important than those in your life, that are here from day in and day out for all the crap you put them through. These people on the stage, and there's many more, but these people on the stage are the closest thing to my heart. These are the people that keep me on the straight and narrow. These are the people that keep my moral compass exactly where it needs to be. And these are the people that remind me when I'm screwing up. Without these people right here, right now, I would not be standing on this stepdad. Without these people right here, right now, I would not be the man I am today. And I just want to make sure they are recognized for everything you guys have done for me. And the man that you are. See, that ain't a family photo op, that was real. You see the difference? I got a little fired up there tonight because well, I think you know. I don't know if you guys know this because you're all in here enjoying the show. But right now they shut down the exit because there's so many people trying to get in here. It's backed up to us. You know what that tells me? You know what that tells me? There's a lot of people out there, I'd say it's a very small amount, judging by what I see going down the highway right now. But there are people out there that think we're the bad people. Yeah. We're wrong. What we're doing is evil. They want to paint us as being some far right or left or whatever crap you spew out the mouth. But we're not. We're not that at all. We're a variety of people. We come from every walk of life. In fact, I don't know if you knew this, but trucking is the most diverse industry in this country. Yep. Truckers come from every walk of life. Literally. Yep. They come from, even in the American truck, they come from every country out there, right, Jerry? Yep. Jerry left communism to come to the United States and drive truck. Throughout the journey for this spot, it's played in my head. Am I wrong? Am I the one that's wrong? Are we the ones that are wrong? I agree. The answer is no. And I know that because, like they said before, every overpass, I'd say from Arizona to here, yep, has been packed full of Americans. I'm not going to go much longer, so I'll end it like this. All right, I might go a little bit longer. I'll try not to.
Go longer.
All I'm really asking for, what my personal goal is for this convoy, is to wake the citizens around the world, not just the United States, but the citizens around the world to wake up. I want them to wake up. I want them to see what is going on around the world. I want them to feel that freedom. I want them to strive for freedom, and I want them to fight for freedom. But freedom isn't free. Nope. Many soldiers know that. Yep. But not many Americans. Freedom takes sacrifice. Yep. In our situation, it's the lost incomes. It's being away from home, missing our loved ones, to drive across this country to go make a freaking statement.
Yep. It's all worth it. 100%.
There's a lot of cameras here and people vlogging and stuff. That's all right. That's all right. But I want to use that to our advantage right now, even though people that hate our guts are watching.
Oh, yeah, they are.
I'm begging that every truck driver around the world, stand up now. Australia, you're up. You're up, Australia. I know you've gone through hell. I know you've tried. I know it's been difficult, but now our brothers to the north, brothers and sisters up north have inspired us U.S. truckers to do it. Goodness, I hope we can at least inspire you to do it too. Germany, Poland, Israel, Finland, Sweden, you name it, every single truck driver around the world, now is your time to stand up and send a message to your world leaders and your governments that they work for us. God bless you all and good. Thank you so much for listening. You know how for you. John Sensor from Epic Flight
I
Events.
just knew he was going to drop that.
The Rolling American flag.
The great Rush Limbaugh said, "When are we going to see pushback?" Rush, I'm looking at it. I'm John Sensor, and my son and I drove in from Nebraska with a huge, ginormous flag, and it's sitting right over there in between a whole bunch of trucks, and it's crying out, "Illuminate me, illuminate me." I purchased this flag a year ago, and it's been sitting in my camper because I've been waiting for the right time to unfurl it. I decided a while back I was going to call it the Unite in Light Freedom Flag. And I heard about this event, I was following them, and God told me this is the time to unfurl it. It's never been unfurled before. This is going to be the first time, and there's no other flag like it, because it has that beautiful Spanish gold border around it. So, when you leave here after the last speaker, we're asking you to go out these doors, head over there, pull out your cell phone, turn on the light, and think about someone special in your life. Maybe it's your uncle who died in Vietnam. Maybe it's your dad who fought in World War II. For me, I'm thinking of those 5 sailors last August that died on the USS Abraham Lincoln in a helicopter accident, crashed on the deck, flipped over into the ocean. The reason it's close to my heart is because my son is a rescue swimmer, and he was a squadron just before that squadron. And they had to go train somewhere else, and that squadron came in, and they weren't scheduled. They volunteered to go replace them, and they're the ones who had the accident. So when I hold my light tonight, and I'm walking under that flag, I'm thinking of them. We can think about the Canadian truckers, the Ukrainian freedom fighters, whoever, but think about someone and hold that light to illuminate that flag. The truckers are going to turn their headlights on, and we're gonna have a procession through, because we have different backgrounds, different nationalities, come from different parts of the country, but we're all Americans, and we're all gonna unite in light tight to illuminate that flag. See you in the light.
Thank you so much. I now have to organize the People's Convoy Marine Still.
Hi everyone. Hi there. This has been an incredible experience, and there's a few sentiments I wanted to share with everyone tonight. So many of you aren't able to go on this entire journey with us, and it's been a life-changing experience for all of us. Some of the things that I've learned that I was unaware of after 2 years of quarantine, and one of them is the fact that patriotism is alive and well in this country. Everywhere we have gone, we have received the most beautiful reception. Roadsides packed, overpasses packed, and what you mostly see is just the red, white, and blue. Just flags for freedom, pride in country again, and love of fellow countryman, which has been so dead for so long. The other thing that I've learned on this journey is how generous Americans are. Everywhere we roll into, people roll out the red carpet. There's enough food for thousands of people, and no one will let us pay a dime. There's food for the truckers, there's food for anyone else that joins. This has been just the beautiful American heart on full display. It waves and flares on the outside for all to see, and it has just been incredible, and I wanted to share that. In the back of our bus, we have a Rubbermaid bin, and it's full of letters from American people. We have letters in there from nuns. We have letters in there from moms and dads and businessmen. There's hundreds and hundreds of letters. But the ones that bring tears to my eyes, and some of the big burly truckers behind me here, are the ones from the children. There's a little girl, Whitney, who emptied out her piggy bank. And there's a $10 bill, a $2 bill, and 3 $1 bills, and a piece of candy in there for the truckers. A little boy, Travis, said to the hero truckers, "Thanks for keeping me free," and he taped a cookie to the postcard. And it's these beautiful things like that that are so heartwarming, seeing the American people come together, united for sure. But the beauty of the American heart and American generosity, it is second to none. We've seen it historically when people wash upon our shores for freedom, and they are welcomed here with open arms. We cannot let the light of liberty go out on our watch. It was handed to us by our elders, and we need to hand it down to our children for them to grow up in a free country. Yeah. So I'm so proud of you all for being here. Thank you all for standing up and for joining hands and unifying, because we are a united country. Do not believe it for 1 second that we are divided. We are not, and you're showing it here this evening. Everyone is. God bless America, Bob. God bless you all.
My last speaker, if I need microphone over here, is Marcus Summers for the People's Convoy co-organizer.
Whoa! How about that? It's great to see all you guys, and if the cameras would just go out there and just show everybody all the way out, like way out there. That's amazing. Incredible. I would like to ask Mike Landis, Ryan Brazzi, Rebecca, Jerry, where's Alan and Bonnie? That's who I was on the phone with. They're outside. When they're coming up, while they're coming up, I just want to say, you guys, it's been awesome to see this from the windshield of the tour bus. It's been amazing. Nearly every overpass that wasn't an exit or an on-ramp was covered with people from California to Indiana. That's incredible. We had the pleasure yesterday to get ahead of the convoy and stand on the bridge on an overpass and watch the convoy pass under us. It was amazing. We got to talk hands, talk to the hands, shake hands, talk to the people. It was incredible. So I want to say here, these here, Bonnie, Alan and Bonnie, Brian, Jerry, Mike, and Rebecca, and myself are the lead organizers here of the convoy, and I'm telling you, this is just an amazing thing here. We are truckers. I'm a trucker. I'm actually one of the, I think I might have been the first guy that was hit. I was shot at driving my 379P on I-70 in Ohio. Some of these people were on the phone. They heard it. I was shot at. My glass was shot out of my truck. I wasn't sure what was going on, and they weren't either. But it was just crazy. That was back on June 8th, 2020. But somehow I dodged the bullet, and the hand of God kept me safe, and I'm here, and I'm thankful to be here. So we're going to sing Amazing Grace, and we're going to sing twice. And on the second time, I just want everybody to join in with us. Yeah, join in now. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now we see. If you guys would please head on around the other side of this building, we're going to open up a very large American flag right between the chairs. I love you all. Be safe. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for all listening. Hey, just really quick. I forgot to mention something earlier that's really critically important. I don't know how many of you know about Pastor Art up in Canada. Pastor Art's a guy that's been to jail quite a few times, and he's been to jail because he's been standing up for freedom. And most recently, he was supporting the truckers up in Canada. He was doing nothing more than passing out food and water and having conversations with him. And they threw him in prison. They're trying to make an example out of him. They made him a political prisoner. So Cindy Chapin, who many of you probably know, she's organizing to help get him out of prison. And she has a website. It's called freepastorart.com. I'm asking you to all go there. I believe on March 9th, they're asking for rallies at all the consulates, the Canadian consulates all around the country. There's numbers on the website that you can call. You can call the Canadian government. You can call the U.S. government.
and you can demand his release. He's a political prisoner, just like our January 6ers. So please help us make a difference for Pastor Art, who's made a difference for many people. Thank you.
And there you go, Brendan.
America. Freedom.
Yeah, I saw a few people with T-shirts, Canadian and American flags on them.
What a crowd, eh? So, for everybody's information, this little space they had set up there sits about 2,000 people, and it was lined up out the door entirely. It is the coming days and weeks before they are arriving. Saturday, March 5th, on day 11 of the People's Convoy in the United States of America. What similar sentiments and emotion and feeling that we share with our very own convoy that we just had here. It's quite amazing.
Yeah. Speeches there mirroring really a lot of what was set up here. The politics in the United States a little bit different. They have a different, their constitution is written a little differently. They have different rights in Canada. I don't think we have any anymore because the charter is a failed document, and our rights are very limited, and we don't really have rights because I think that it's been sort of bypassed. They've done an end run around it, but that's a whole other discussion, really. And now they're going out there to unfurl a gigantic American flag. And as you say, they're making their way to Washington, D.C., and they should arrive there Saturday, March 5th, this Saturday. And we also know that there are many demonstrations set for across Canada, including in Ottawa this Saturday as well. So we have a lot more going on up here too. It's not going to be anything on the scale that we saw with the big truckers Freedom Convoy that made its way to Ottawa, but there's more coming this Saturday. It's far from over.
Yes, this is far from over. This is the spirit of the movement carrying forward. And I think it will meet a similar situation as to probably what Canada dealt with. But, I mean, every one of these people is sacrificing a lot of things so that they could bring their message to the government. One thing interesting to note, very interesting to note, is they had mentioned at the end of all the speeches there about Pastor Artur Pawlowski. He's, as Rick had mentioned throughout this show, it is seldom ever done that America pays attention to Canadian politics. It seldom ever happens. And we had a situation where we did see that happen. They are paying attention. They know what's going on up here. And that is surprising in a good way. That's a good surprise.
Yeah, and Pastor Artur has been arrested, 5 times, 6 times. The first time I saw him arrested, he was feeding the homeless in Calgary. And now, today, his brother, David, was arrested, which is disheartening to say the least. Let's, I think you have something queued up, don't you, Brendan? Do you have a video of that? Let's put that up.
Yeah, he posted this today. So
okay, let's see what happened to him, because this is disturbing again.
Again, supposedly was stopped for a check stop, but it's very weird. I've been waiting already for quite a while. I saw them make some phone calls. I was stopped by police and sheriffs. There is a check stop here. There was nothing wrong with the vehicle. He took my ID. He checked that this is our vehicle here, and he's been gone for a pretty long time, making phone calls. So we'll see what.
So you're about to see him be arrested, I think.
This is from his own personal feed. He broadcasted this to Facebook himself.
This was this afternoon. Law enforcement pulled him over for what initially appeared to be a routine roadside check for commercial vehicles.
Very strange. One of them is putting some gear on. The other are talking. I don't know about what. What's the problem? But seeing that some of them are sheriffs.
And David's brother, Pastor Arthur, has been held in solitary confinement.
As you know, my brother is locked up in solitary confinement unlawfully for over 20 days now.
Without bail, charged with mischief over $5,000 and interrupting the operation.
Vigils at the remand, worshiping, praying.
Mischief
So
over
who knows if this is
$5,000.
not some kind of vendetta, so I decided
And
to go live.
And interrupting the operation of essential infrastructure under Alberta's Critical Infrastructure Defence Act. That's the charge that Pastor Arthur is facing, and now we're about to see Pastor Arthur's brother David arrested here. This is what happened earlier today. The charges against Pastor Arthur stem from a visit that he paid to that Coots border crossing protest with the truckers and farmers down there. Pastor Art spoke to the truckers, gave a sermon. The truckers were engaged in a demonstration at the Alberta-Montana border. And Pastor Arthur told them to hold the line. He was also charged previously after he reopened his church when lockdown restrictions were in place so that he could feed the poor on the streets. That's where I first saw him arrested, in Calgary. He was feeding the poor on the streets in the middle of winter in the cold, and police came and arrested him.
Yeah, it's crazy. The harassment, you know, this is what Canada has become.
Police raided Pastor Arthur's church.
You know, especially people in politics and people in badges
And in another
especially
video,
the servants of the people. But unfortunately, they've become tyrants.
it went viral worldwide. He was seen standing up to the authorities, standing up to police, and he basically told them to get out, get out, get out.
There's absolutely no reason why.
Referring to them as Nazis.
Yes.
I'd have to wait so long.
That's right.
The police, that is.
That's right.
See, as you can tell, they're just talking to one another. One is in a car,
Now they're going to come and arrest him, apparently. That's what we're about to see. And
About something. I wonder
it's not clear why they arrested him today. It has something to do with what they say is a breach of conditions. And David, seen here in the video, is on probation.
Check for alcohol. Well, I didn't touch alcohol for almost 20 years, so.
He's on
We'll see
probation
what happens.
on a contempt
Why
of a
did they
public health
pull me
court
over? Supposedly a check stuff for commercial vehicles.
order.
And I'm not in a commercial vehicle. I am just in a church vehicle.
As you heard him say, he says he's sitting in a church vehicle.
Looks like a red pickup.
And the incarceration of Pastor Arthur.
That's for sure. Praise God. These people have no idea what they're doing, because what they're doing is with
Is
their
seen
own
as a
foolish hands.
political move by many.
Fools are destroying their own houses. That's what they're doing. They're destroying Canada. They're destroying this society. They're turning people against them until there will be nothing left. Zero respect, nothing, zero. And it will come a point where there's going to be less than zero respect for them. I mean, the parents don't teach their kids anymore that the police officer is a badge of honor. It's actually a disgrace and shame. It's very sad. It's very sad. You know, we always been saying that the tyrants will become the victim. It's just a matter of time. First World War, Second World War showed it very clearly. Now
No
it's
doubt.
three of them negotiating
Relations
against
between
my fate.
police and the public at an all-time low in Canada.
It's unbelievable. They're sheriffs.
If I was him, I would definitely be distrusting of the police based off of his experience with his brother.
So they're really, really digging something. They really want to cook something up. Anything. It's such a commotion. It's ridiculous. I mean, the guy almost came out. Now he's going back. Well, I think now the car is driving and one is walking. So
You know, it's interesting too. The Pavlovskis have been a real thorn in the side of authorities, thorn in the side of Alberta Public Health and the Conservative government, Premier Jason Kenney. And today we're seeing
a long time trying to find something on me, anything.
a bit of a revolt inside the Conservative Party in Alberta. The leadership vote is coming up, and there is a movement within the Conservative Party to oust
Looks like
Jason Kenney,
something very, very weird.
described by some within the party, powerful party with powerful people within the party, who now view him as a tyrant, who does not reflect conservative values, does not stand up for freedom, failed the people of Alberta as premier, and now is seeking to hold on to his power. And here they come.
I don't know. As we'll see.
And this was earlier today. The brother of Pastor Artur Pavlovsky.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Do you just want to go ahead and move the vehicle over to the side?
What's going on?
Once you go ahead and move the vehicle over to the
No,
side, we're going to have
what's...
to get you to turn it off.
Okay, what's going on, guys?
We'll explain everything to you in a minute. Just turn your truck off, please.
Okay, what's going on?
We'll explain it to you. Please turn your truck off.
What did I do?
We'll explain everything in a minute. Please turn your truck off.
Okay.
Just for safety precautions,
Can I pull over and somebody
okay.
can
Just turn your truck off
and somebody can pick up the truck? Is that
we'll
okay?
deal with all that in a moment, okay? We got
Yeah.
sufficient lighting.
Well,
behind
obviously you want to arrest me, right? So can I just pull over so that my nephew can pick up the church vehicle? Guys, this is a church vehicle. Come on, guys.
Yeah. We'll
Like-
get you to move the vehicle over to the side. After that, turn off the key.
Okay.
And then we'll explain everything over to you, okay?
Okay. So as you see, they're arresting me. I have no idea what charges, what's going on. But
Okay, sir, turns off.
yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, so right now, as it stands, you're under arrest for
What?
Form 7 unendorsed warrant, okay?
For what?
For Form 7 unendorsed warrant.
What is that?
It's just breaching conditions, so I just need you to step out of the vehicle, okay? So you are under arrest, sir. We need you to exit the vehicle, please, okay?
Okay, everyone. May God bless you and keep you. The harassment in Canada is continuing.
What do you make of that, Brendan?
This is shameful. I mean, those two cops looked way too young to be doing what they're doing there. And they seemed indecisive. This is really concerning, and it's interesting you touched on the revolt happening with Jason Kenny, the premier for Alberta, which had manifested originally during the Coutts Alberta blockade, where things did not go well for him there. I truly hope that whatever is happening with the leadership in Alberta will help these guys get out of jail, because I'm going to put all the money in my pocket here now up for bet and say, if we were to drop all these mandates, we would never hear from the Pavlovskis again. They would go away into obscurity and do their church thing and do whatever it is they do and live their lives. But it's the mandates that are hurting them, and it's the mandates that are hurting people. Is what I make of it.
There's a saying, the cops don't get mad, they get even. And I think the same can be said of government and tyrannical premiers. And Jason Kenney is a great big fat hypocrite. Another disgusting fat cat feet at the trough politician. Conservative in name only, a Sino. Sooner he goes, the better. He's a disgrace to Alberta and a disgrace to Canada. And I hope that the forces at work to remove him as premier and as leader of the Conservative Party are successful, because he's a complete national and provincial embarrassment. And what they're doing to the Pavlovskis is not Canadian. It's fascistic. And we've been talking about Nazis and all these disgusting, divisive, hateful politicians who have been spewing insults and calling truckers Nazis should really just take a look in the mirror if they're really interested in hunting down Nazis. They don't have to go very far. Just head on over to your bathroom and stand in front of the mirror. Take a good, hard look, because that's where you'll find the Nazis you're looking for. Jason Kenney is a Nazi. He's a fascist. So is Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland. They're all tyrants. That's the truth.
Doug Ford.
They're all a bunch of freaking fascistic, communistic Nazis. Every single one of them. They've been abusing Canadians for over 2 years. And what you're seeing, what we've just witnessed with the arrest of David Pavlovsky, the ongoing incarceration of Pastor Arter, the two brothers, it's disgusting. Totalitarian. Canada is dead. Canada is gone. We're here fighting on the front lines of the information war. But those guys, they're paying an even heavier price.
Big time.
I'm sorry, man, but that's the reality.
Well, you've touched on something really deep here, Rick, and that is the very fact that Canadian politics have been a disgrace throughout this whole pandemic and this stupid science experiment that we've been going through for the past 2 years, that we haven't had anybody with enough brains or sense to say anything or have a backbone in anything that they've done. Canada has had the most pathetic political governments ever established on the history of the planet. Weak, spineless leadership. Every province. Every level. These people voted in these yahoos, these liberal people, on every level of government, and now look what we get for it. We get brainwashing campaigns. We get nobody stands up. Every politician out there in Canada right now is afraid to stand up and is afraid to say anything. We don't have, like, at least in the United States, you have multiple states that you could go to escape the bullshit. But we don't have that here. We got nothing. Jason Kenney was almost at something, but he failed. He caught the football and he fumbled it. Abysmal failure.
Did he, or did he just do his part and fall into line with all the other fascists?
Well, that's the weird thing, because him and Doug Ford said the same thing about back passes, like, consistently within a few days. No, we're not going to do that. It's going to cause division. Doug Ford said the same thing, and then it was like the next day, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to do back passes now. It's pathetic. Spineless.
Yeah, you know what, Brendan? I'm not using Nazi in like this, the regular smear way that they use it. I mean it.
Oh, I know.
They're Nazis. They're all Nazis. They're all freaking fascists. Fascistic communists. Totalitarians. Every single one of them. They're all a bunch of egomaniacs. We got to get rid of these people. We need our country back. That's what we need. And the first thing we need to do is expose it, talk about it, and fight against it. Stand up against it. It's growing.
And that's what you guys could do at home. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. Get involved in politics. There's multiple levels of government that you are able to get involved in. And you could bring common sense back. You could bring guts back to the stage where there hasn't been any of this in politics for many years. There's school board elections. There's municipal councils. There's provincial government. There's federal government. There's so much that you could do. And if you're not able to participate, help somebody who is. There's a lot of things that go into making a political campaign and making it work. Lots of things. There's tons of work to do in that. So things may seem dark right now, but there's going to be elections coming. And it's up to us to have these conversations, and it's up to us to get good leaders with good intentions and with a real backbone back into office that won't cave to these Nazi tendencies. It's all up to us, people.
Every one of these leaders failed us in our time of need. They made bad decisions, and they were either involved in this stupidity directly and this grand global plan or whatever it is they've got planned, or they were fearful and didn't have the backbone and the leadership skills to stand up for the people, stand up for Canadians, stand up for Canada. Every single one of them failed us, including Jason Kenney. And tonight, the persecution, the political persecution of the Pavlovskis continues. The abuse of the Canadian people continues. Even though you might feel like there's some relief because, in Ontario, the Vax Pass was lifted today. It is far from over yesterday. It's far from over. They took 2 miles and gave 2 inches back. We need it all back. And we need all of them gone. We need to hold them accountable. We all need to stand up. We all need to fight. Brendan and I, the other people here working on this project, working here as freedom reporters, as part of the Maverick News operation, which we're expanding. We're fighting the information war, and that's one of the key parts of the foundation of this country is truthful information. That's what we need for a true democracy to function. And what we've been getting from the regular legacy mainstream media is a bunch of propaganda. And it continues now. Outright lies. Lies from the politicians, and the media just echoes what they say because they've all been bought and paid for now. I ought to know. I worked at CTV for over 25 years. And what they're doing over there is not journalism anymore, nor is it what's happening at the CBC. It's all manipulation. Endless wars that they've plunged us into, where we've sent our young men and women over to die. And now we don't know what the hell to believe anymore. And we all need to stand up. We all need to get involved in some way. We all need to help in some way. Brendan's right. You need to look at getting involved, maybe even in local politics. That's where all this stuff starts. That's what we heard that gentleman in Indiana say tonight. It's absolutely true. More happens at the local level than you know. There's more power at the local level than you know. These mandates are implemented and enforced at the local level through bylaw officers and through municipal governments, and local resources from the municipal government are deployed in order to keep the people in line. The education of your children is determined at the local school board level. You all need to look at getting involved at some point. Locally, provincially, at the state level, federally, whatever it is, get involved. Support people. Support Pastor Arthur. You can support us here at freedomreporters.com. You can donate and help us expand this operation. We can't do this alone. It takes money to fund what we're doing. There are costs associated with doing this. And now more than ever, the information war is important. It's a key to fighting back. If people don't know what's really going on, they can't vote with any degree of intelligence or make an informed decision.
Or as they would have it, we have had dangerously low voter participation in Canada for years. They don't want you to vote. They would rather you stay home, eat Twinkies, listen to your steel-belted radio, and watch Netflix and whatever it is that you do at home.
And I'm sorry, but, smoke your weed that Justin Trudeau gave you because, he knew he could score points with that. So he gets you all doped up and dumbed down. They water down the education system. They don't even teach spelling. They don't teach proper history anymore. And everything they do teach is designed to make kids today feel ashamed of themselves and of their country. What kind of country do we have anymore if we don't have young people who feel at least some degree of pride in where they've come from, who they are? Canada, the United States, they've been beacons of hope for the rest of the world, beacons of freedom. Freedom. I'll tell you, our politicians don't give a damn about your freedom anymore. They don't give a damn about your rights. And it's high time things changed. What they've done with that arrest, what they've done to you over the past 2 years is beyond ridiculous. It's disgraceful, and it's not Canadian. I'm tired of it, and I think everybody else is too. And I'm petrified now because these idiots have literally taken us to the brink of a nuclear conflict with Russia. Sheer stupidity. They're rattling their sabers. They're pro-war. They want to put guns into the hands of civilians, and that's just giving the Russians a reason to go and blow up houses and shoot otherwise innocent people because they're turning regular civilians into soldiers over there. What needs to happen is dialogue, discussion, peace through strength, proper energy policies so that we're not left open vulnerable and needing to buy fuel from the Russians. So we don't have to. What's happening now is we're paying between $1.65, $1.70 a liter here today, up about 30 cents a liter.
Going to be $2 next week.
$1.85, $1.90 in British Columbia, and yeah, it'll be $2 before you can bat an eye because of the stupidity of our politicians and the misinformation that the media keeps feeding us so that we keep making bad policy decisions. So we buy blood oil from the Middle East instead of pumping ethically produced oil right here in Canada. We're a resource-rich nation, and we've squandered our resources. They want to keep you poor or keep you stupid. They want to keep you at home, and they don't want you to vote against them. So they buy your votes with free stuff. Universal basic income. They're not giving you anything. You're paying for that with your freedom. They're going to make slaves out of you.
With your soul. You'll be paying for that with your soul.
And that's right, Brendan. You're absolutely right. Today, we said we were going to get into the 10,000 pages of the Pfizer documents that have been released. I did skim those documents. I did go over many of them, but it's 10,000 pages. And it was too much for me to digest in one sitting. So we can't get into it too deeply, and we can't get into it too deeply here on YouTube. We're setting up an alternative platform so that we can discuss that more.
Yes.
We will touch on it, I think, more tomorrow again.
Yeah, we've run out of time a little bit here, so sorry about that, folks. But there'll be more to come on it. There's lots to come, and there's lots of professionals giving analysis on it. So, and yeah, we might have something lined up with a professional to give a better analysis on things here. I am working on some things, so it just remains to be seen. Sit tight. There's lots of cool stuff coming, and we are expanding. I know Rick had already touched on our donations here, but it also really helps us out a lot if you can like and subscribe our videos and I truly appreciate that. Rick, did you have anything else that you wanted to cover here this evening before?
Just that we have a great guest on tomorrow night, Thomas Androvic. He's from British Columbia, and he has extensive knowledge. He understands, I think, what's going on in Ukraine from a Canadian perspective and from a Ukrainian perspective. And I think he will shed a lot of light on what is going on over there. And it's something we need to educate ourselves about and continue to monitor, because there's so much propaganda on all sides. And we've just had too much Canadian and American blood spilled on foreign soil, as far as I'm concerned. And too many people are making too much dirty money over there, selling weapons. How is it, Brendan, that Justin Trudeau is able to find night vision goggles, guns, grenades, hundreds of millions of dollars to send over to Ukraine for war, when he hasn't been able to find any money for his own soldiers to properly equip them, and he hasn't been able to find any money for Canadian veterans? Not to mention clean drinking water for First Nations peoples, which he promised and has never delivered on. No money for that either, I guess. But lots of money to go to war. Following Joe Biden like a little dog. Little dog.
Yeah, he does.
Just Mr. Corruption himself, Joe Biden, right? Up to his eyeballs in it over there in Ukraine. Everybody knows it. It's been on public display since the last election. Think about it, people. Think about it. We're going to have a lot more to say about all that, but special guest tomorrow night. And really looking forward to that. He's going to shed some real light on the situation for us. I'm certain of it. And, of course, we'll be following the People's Convoy. More live feeds tomorrow night as the People's Convoy makes its way to Washington, D.C., and plans for supporting demonstrations in Canada begin to take shape here on the northern side of the border as well, in cities right across Canada. So the freedom movement is alive, well, and growing. And much more to share with you tomorrow evening. And yeah, I thank everyone for donating, everyone who has. It's helped us out a great deal. And we've got a lot more work to do. This is, as much as anything else, an information war. And we're doing our very best for you. We're going to do more. We have only just begun to fight. With that, I'll just throw it over to you, Brendan, to just wrap it up, and then we'll sign off, I guess, for another evening.
Well, tonight we've had some pretty interesting discussions regarding, I know, excuse me, brain fart. Some interesting discussions surrounding Ukraine and Nazi problems that they have there, and Chrystia Freeland as well, and her connections with Ukraine. We've had an opportunity to listen to speeches and discussions from the People's Convoy, our brothers and sisters down south in the USA, expecting to arrive at Washington, D.C. on March 5th. So that's to be expected very soon. So there's going to be a lot of developments coming out about that. We've also witnessed Dawid Pawlowski's arrest this evening. And so, like Rick said, tomorrow night we're going to have a very interesting show with an excellent guest. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see you guys then as well. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Brendan Kennedy, the co-host for Maverick News.
Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of Russia. Pray for everyone on the planet tonight. I hope God is listening. And while you're at it, pray for the truckers and thank them for everything they're doing. And ask yourself, what are you doing to fight for freedom? I'm Rick Walker, one of the Freedom Reporters. You're watching Maverick News. We'll be back tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch you all on the flip side.